Hi, I'm Charles with Handicap. Previously, Bai was accepted as a disciple to become an immortal. In the immortal realm, Bai would discover that his chosen walk is able to double the power of anything he puts in it. However, he loses some lifespan when he does. Later, Bai heads to the bloodstream sector in search of the Relic of Eternity. He wears a disguise to conceal his identity and eventually enters the Bloodmaster trial as Jun's guardian. The first stage of the trial pits him against one of Sumei's guardians in another world, and he finds that he can somehow control lightning. The story continues as we see that Jali has sustained severe injuries after being struck by lightning several times. He can't understand how that could be possible, but realizes that Yi Zhang must have set up some type of trap. A trap that triggers a lightning strike whenever someone gets close. He's surprised to see that Yi Zhang's tricks go this far, and Jali states that he is willing to sacrifice his cultivation for a way to conceal his life's aura. Jali successfully hides himself and sets out to find Yi Zhang. We then see that Bai is still in his Yi Zhang disguise and complains about how he has been traveling so long without encountering a single blood beast. Just then, he is happy to see that a group of blood beasts are nearby, as it's exactly what he needs. They seem to be trying to avoid him, so Bai calls out to them, but it becomes even more clear that they are running away from him. One is left behind, so he calmly asks that it stay, but it doesn't, and Bai loudly screams all he wants is to experience the brutality of the Blood Orb world. Just then, Bai senses someone nearby and is glad, since he wants to test out a theory he has about the world. Jali reveals himself and attempts to attack Yi Zhang, but is instantly stopped by a simple point of Yi Zhang's fingers. Even though Yi Zhang barely moved, he is shocked to see such a powerful attack hit Jali. Jali himself is completely confused as to why this is all happening, and conceals himself once more to get away. It's clear to Bai now that the world must be granting him this power, and he wonders if it's because he cultivated the undying immortal power that has a common origin with the Blood Ancestor. Bai doesn't question it anymore and proudly declares that with the snap of his fingers, he can annihilate any insignificant Foundation Establishment cultivator. Elsewhere, Jali shows that he barely managed to survive Yi Zhang's attack, and wonders just what kind of move he used. First it was lightning, then it was a fierce wind. He is certain that Yi Zhang doesn't have such godly abilities and begins to wonder if the world is protecting him. He refuses to believe that, and much less accepts it, so he decides that he must use the ghost body given to him by Patriarch Hanyan. It will allow him to recover his cultivation in a short time, so much so that it will even advance it by one step. The ghost body will also help him evade the dangerous lightning and fierce wind. It comes at a cost though, as his body completely transforms, and he reiterates that he doesn't believe the world is protecting him. Even if that were the case though, Jali vows to defy the world and kill Yi Zhang. Near the mountain, Bai thinks about how Jali already felt his wrath twice, and wonders if he will return. Yi Zhang hopes he does come back, as he can't wait to see what amazing power the world will let him use next. Just then, Jali shows himself as he warns Yi Zhang to prepare for death, but before he can get anywhere near him, he is completely destroyed by a wave. Jali then finds himself back on an island, and thinks about how he has a higher cultivation level than Yi Zhang, has been with the sector longer, and trained harder than him, but the world treats Yi Zhang so much better. Jali says that he completely regrets coming to the blood trials. If he never came, he would never have fought Yi Zhang, and if he never fought Yi Zhang, then he never would have been humiliated. If he was never humiliated, then he never would have realized the injustice in the world, and he could have stayed the happy-go-lucky Jali. Back nearby, we see that he has reached the mountain, but the beast that scared Jali away stays inactive for Bai. Jali is shocked to see Yi Zhang arrive, and Bai thinks about all he has to do is get to the top of the mountain, as that is where the will of the world is. Once he does, he will pass the first stage. However, before he can do so, Jali is delighted to see that Yi Zhang is no longer being favored by the gods, as he is stopped by the several blood beasts. Yi Zhang is confident that the world does not wish to harm him though, and puts away his weapon. Jali can't understand why he would do such a thing, but is then amazed to see the blood beast move out of Yi Zhang's way. Jali assumes that the way to prevent the blood beast from attacking is to approach without showing any murderous intent, and with this information, he is now confident that he can walk past the beasts too. His confidence is short-lived however, as it doesn't work, and the beasts attack him relentlessly. Yi Zhang can't help but admire how Jali is so undaunted despite the repeated setbacks, and thinks they could have been friends under different circumstances. Jali fights for his life, but still finds the time to call Yi Zhang a coward. He believes that if not for the bias of the Blood Orb world, then Yi Zhang would have died a long time ago. Jali proclaims that even if he were to die, he will never acknowledge Yi Zhang. Yizang returns and commands the beast to back down, to explain how kind-hearted he is. Yizang wants to give Jali the chance to know that even without the help of the world, he can still thoroughly beat him. Jali becomes excited as he now respects Yizang as a man, but explains that he will now make him regret his decision to come back. Jali shows his impressive resolve as he still somehow has the strength to fight Yizang as an equal, and even gains the upper hand for a short moment. It's clear that Yizang is leagues ahead of him though, as Yizang instructs Jali to keep coming. Jali uses a powerful attack and explains that it is what he gets for underestimating him. Just when Yizang thinks he has ended the fight, he is surprised to see that Jali is using illusions, and tells him to change his name to Coward for hiding his real self. Jali isn't affected by his taunts and begins to use even more illusions to attack. Yizang has a counter for this as well though, as he uses his heaven-reaching eyes of the law to find the real Jali. He lands an attack on Jali, forcing the illusions to disappear, and takes to the sky to prepare his savage ghost attack. It's a frighteningly powerful attack that rattles the world, but Jali is stunned to see that Yizang didn't use it to kill him. Jali can't understand why Yizang came back to fight him, and is even more confused as to why he didn't kill him. Yizang states that the reason is simple, he just wanted to make it abundantly clear why the will of the world chose him. Yizang then makes his triumphant ascent up the mountain, and finally reaches the crystal of the world. Touching it takes him to the realm he was in during the ceremony, and the voice from before instructs him to come in. Yizang is confused for a moment, but it soon becomes clear to him that what he sees and the voice he hears is actually the Blood Ancestor. A burst of energy is released from the top of the mountain as blood beasts tremble, and Jali acknowledges that he has completely lost. We are then shown the entrance to the second round, where Jun and Sumei await the winners of the first stage. We learn that 1 hour in the real world is 10 days in the Blood Orb world. Jun explains that because of the brutality of the Blood Orb world, they will both have to wait for at least one real world day before someone clears the first stage. Only 2 hours have passed though, and Sumei points out how nervous Jun seems. Their arguing quickly stops though when they notice that someone has already cleared the round. Neither of them can understand how that would be possible, as in order to obtain the approval of the will of the world, one must go through an extremely difficult battle. They are then both shocked to see that it is Yizang, and Jun goes to check on him. Sumei is in absolute disbelief to see that he doesn't have a single scratch on him, and Jun points out how that is unprecedented in the history of the sector. Jun wants details, but Yizang explains that he defeated his opponent too quickly, and didn't have a chance to ask him who he was. He states that he is tired, and instructs Jun to wake him when the second round starts. Jun complies, and Sumei thinks about how even if he was able to evade the countless blood beasts, her guardian would have still done everything to stop him. She just can't comprehend what happened in the blood world. Later, we see that the next person to pass the first round is King, and Sumei warns him about Yizang. Song passes soon after, and is frustrated to see that Yizang was once again one step faster than him. Sometime later, we see that a few other disciples have passed, and they are astonished at how fast Yizang was able to pass. They think his power is an enigma, and determine that they need strict precautions, otherwise Yizang will become their biggest threat. Sumei's guardians notice that Jali is nowhere to be found, and determine that the only one that could have defeated him is Yizang. Bai thinks to himself how having his strength acknowledged at this point is not good, and plans to keep a low profile in the second round. Jun points out that her group has 2 less disciples than Sumei's, but Song assures him that they will still win. The first round officially comes to an end, and the 2 trial participants activate the gate to the second round. They are brought to another realm called the Blood Mirror Image, where they are amazed to see an entire other world above them. They can't understand why there is another world, and Jun explains that it's because they are currently situated at the Blood Ancestor's bone joint. Sumei explains that the second round is a group battle. Every 2 hours, a Blood Ancestor key will appear in a random place. At the same time, one of the blood pillars supporting the world in the sky will fracture. There are only 7 pillars, so after 14 hours, the group battle will end. Guardians on both sides with a key will be transported to the third round. Everyone begins to realize what this means, as she goes on to say that those without a key on the winner's side will just be expelled. However, those without a key on the losing side must remain there. All the pillars will be destroyed by then, so the other world will come crashing down, crushing the defeated, turning their bones to dust, obliterated forever. Song points out how they are at a disadvantage in numbers, but states that they will work together to do all they can, just as the earth shakes, indicating the trial will begin soon. June then explains to her guardians that she will leave the task of collecting keys to them. This way, she can lure Sumei into a death match. If she can kill her in one go, then they can obtain victory right away. Everyone agrees with her plan and vow not to let her down. Moments later, June finds Sumei and puts a barrier around the two of them. She explains that it will only disappear when she brings it down, or she is defeated. Sumei instructs her guardians to leave to find the keys, and warns June that trapping her was a bad idea. Just then, the first pillar breaks, indicating the start of the first 2-hour period, and all the guardians begin the search for the key. While everyone searches frantically, one man named Hua in Sumei's group remains calm, and proclaims that he will not allow Yi Zhang to live past the first 2 hours. Bai thinks to himself how those that want the first keys can just have them, since they will very likely be hunted down instantly. He decides that he will just conserve his energy, as the later rounds are definitely what will determine victory. Just then, the energy wave disappears, and red dots emerge to show where the keys will appear, as everyone waits in anticipation. As the red dots converge, Bai thinks about how the person closest to the key will likely die instantly, and he is shocked to find that the key will be appearing next to him. A beam of light alerts everyone to where the key is, and they desperately rush towards it. Bai stares at the key in front of him, but is attacked, and the attackers are surprised to see that the key seems to have a mind of its own. Bai takes off running, attempting to avoid attracting trouble, but finds that it can't be avoided when Hua attacks him. Yi Zhang points out how evil Hua is for going after him instead of the key, and Hua explains that there will be several keys, but what he really wants is to kill him. Hua would rather take Yi Zhang's life over the key, but Yi Zhang shows his immense strength immediately. He makes it clear that he is the stronger of the two of them, and instructs Hua to relay a message explaining that he is not to be trifled with. Just then, Yi Zhang notices that the key is coming towards him once again, and Song arrives to make sure Sumei's guardian doesn't get it. He almost fails, but then manages to kick it to a teammate, and determines that he must convince another guardian to focus on just fighting their enemies. Yi Zhang volunteers himself as the one to fight, and instructs Song to take the key and leave. However, just then, the second pillar collapses, and Song warns everyone to look out as the key could appear anywhere. However, they are all shocked to see that Yi Zhang's luck is just too good, as the key appeared next to him again. Yi Zhang just wants the key to get away from him, as he explains that he isn't the one becoming the Bloodmaster. Elsewhere, Zhang Yang points out how strong Yi Zhang must be since he was able to defeat Hua so easily. However, he explains that Yi Zhang is burning so much energy so early on, and will only exhaust his strength before the later stages. He thinks they have overestimated Yi Zhang, since he is clearly a poor strategist, but King warns that they must still be on guard. We then watch as Sumei and June continue their fight. These are the two fighting for the spot of Bloodmaster, and they show why as their fight is very intense. Meanwhile, everyone chases Yi Zhang as they all point out how strange it is that the key is following him. June notices this as well and tells Yi Zhang to just take the key while instructing all the other guardians to protect him. Bai thinks about how this is going to really mess up his plan, but he can't go against her orders since he still needs June to get him into the Bloodmaster Hall in the future. Bai then stops running to capture the key, and June's guardians clash with Sumei's in order to protect Yi Zhang. Yi Zhang is then startled as he realizes that the key has a consciousness, and it actually wants to drill straight inside his body. The key gets exactly what it wants as it enters Yi Zhang's body, and overtakes his crystallizations. No one can understand what's happening as the key's energy wave has disappeared, and Yi Zhang's body has begun to glow. The glowing ends as everyone is completely speechless, and Bai just thinks, oh crap. He has just absorbed the key, and if anyone finds out, even the people on his side will want to punish him. Bai thinks fast and tells everyone to calm down, as this is just his own secret technique. He goes on to lie and say that after taking the key, he is able to conceal its energy wave. This shocks everyone as well, since without the energy wave as a pointer, the enemy won't be able to track it. Realizing this, Sumei instructs her group to swarm Yi Zhang and not let him get away. Song does his best to fend off the attackers, but there is too many, and Yi Zhang must fight as well. Attacks are seemingly coming from everywhere as he must dodge swords left and right. These seem to only have been a distraction though, as Yi Zhang soon finds himself captured by Spirit Binding Silk, which confines Blood Key. Escape is impossible, so his opponents ask that he just obediently die, but luckily Song comes to his aid. The enemies are defeated as Yi Zhang compliments Song on his reliability, but he doesn't want to hear it. Just then, the two find themselves surrounded yet again and again fight for their lives. While fighting, Song explains that he only helped him for the sake of his sister June, and the two bicker as they battle. They must refocus as even more enemies appear, and determine that they should find opportunities to escape separately. They do just that, but Song finds himself at a dead end. Enemies rapidly close in on him, but luckily he is pulled away and they can't find him. We see that it's because Song was saved by Yi Zhang, and Yi Zhang explains that there are just too many enemies, so they will sit out the second 2-hour period in a cave. The search for them moves elsewhere as Song demands Yi Zhang gets his stinking pig hooves off him, and Yi Zhang points out how Song has some serious issues. The next pillar begins to collapse, meaning it's no longer safe in the cave, and the two are chased once again. Unfortunately, the two are separated by a fissure in the ground. The enemy is quickly approaching Song, and he instructs Yi Zhang to go on ahead and find a place to hide. As long as Yi Zhang can hold on until the third key arrives, he believes Yi Zhang will be safe. His words make Yi Zhang question what he is about to do, but Song just tells him to leave as he prepares an attack. Yi Zhang explains that they are not at the point of having to take their opponents down with them, but it's too late as Song has already initiated his own plan. Song's attack manages to take out his opponents, but the world is continuing to collapse, and his attempts to make it across the fissure fail. However, before he is about to fall to his death, Yi Zhang arrives to save him. The two then take a moment to catch their breath. Yi Zhang doesn't want to be misunderstood and explains that he didn't actually want to save him. He just didn't want to owe Song a favor from when he helped him get out of the blood silk trap. Just then, the third 2-hour period begins, and Song realizes that Sumei's guardians will be more desperate than ever to get this key. The third key appears just as they are attacked, and Song once again tells Yi Zhang to run. Sumei informs her group that the key has once again appeared by Yi Zhang, and they must do everything to make sure he doesn't get it. Yi Zhang thinks to himself that he will only give himself away if he keeps absorbing keys. So he tells Song that he will take the second key with him somewhere else, so that Song can take the third key for himself. Song agrees to the plan, but the key falls into the hands of the enemy. Song states that the key belongs to the Song family as he lands an attack and takes the key. However, just then the key is removed from his grasp and sent to another enemy. The key, doing as it pleases, goes off on its own journey, and Song's attempt to go after it is stopped by an enemy. Song is gravely injured as an enemy explains that they won't be able to get any keys if they don't stop Yi Zhang first. He states that he will hold back Song and instructs his teammates to go kill Yi Zhang. Song is insulted to hear that this man thinks he can hold him back, and they fight. We then see that the enemy has nearly caught up to Yi Zhang, who is being chased by the key, and they think he is using some type of trick to do it. Yi Zhang attempts to explain that he didn't do anything, and the key itself is targeting him. They attack him anyway as they refuse to believe his lies, but he just manages to escape. The chase continues a bit longer, but a boulder comes crashing down, and the enemies think they have finally stopped Yi Zhang. Of course, this isn't the case as Yi Zhang simply caught the boulder, so they go in for another attack. They fail with every attack though, and Yi Zhang explains that they have gone too far. He says that he didn't want to fight for the key anymore, but they have forced his hand. The third key comes to him and it enters Yi Zhang's body just like the last did. Sumei watches nearby and sees that the energy wave has disappeared again. June points out how great Yi Zhang is since out of the 7 keys, he has already hidden 2 of them. With no other option, Sumei commands her team to once again attack Yi Zhang and take the keys from him. June and Sumei then continue their fight for a bit as we also watch Yi Zhang skillfully defend himself. His enemies scream in pain as June points out how Sumei's underlings stand no chance against her great guardian. Sumei warns that June not get too confident as she still has many skilled underlings that have yet to make themselves known. We then watch as Yi Zhang continues to run but is stopped by a dense cloud. He is attacked out of nowhere and thinks about how there are too many eyes on him right now. Because of this, he doesn't want to use all his techniques and reveal his true strength just yet, so he uses a lesser attack to get away for the time being. Sumei's disciple is disheartened to see that Yi Zhang has gotten away once more, and Wu arrives to insult him. Wu sends him off to support the battle and explains that he alone will take care of Yi Zhang. Nearby, we see that something is wrong with Bai as he can hardly stand, and is seemingly about to lose consciousness. Wu explains to the disciple that Yi Zhang has been afflicted by his soul-withering incense, so he will no longer be able to escape, and we see that Yi Zhang is in a great deal of pain. Thanks for watching part 20, 6,000 likes and I'll know you want a part 21. Also, all other parts in a pinned comment below.